Welcome to another episode of One on One with Mitch Lafon. Joining me this week from Run DMC, the one and only Darryl McDaniels, otherwise known as DMC. And I know what you're thinking. Wait, what? You have a hip hop rap guy on a metal rock show? Well, in fact, he is in a new band with former Exodus singer Rob Dukes called Generation Kill. This configuration is called DMC Generation Kill, and it also features Ron Bumblefoot Thal producing the album and playing guitar. So you have got this new metal outfit coming at you with DMC. So we talk about that. We talk about Rob Dukes. We talk about Ron Bumblefoot Thal. We talk about, of course, DMC and Run DMC's collaboration with Aerosmith, Walk This Way, back from, I guess, 1986. That, in fact, rose the profile or raised the profile of Run DMC to that next level, but quite frankly also saved Aerosmith from permanent cutout bin status. So we talk about that. And in 2010, DMC did this little song ditty with Jackal, another metal band. So we talk, this is DMC of Run DMC, the hip hop, rap, blah, 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 whatever band. But this is a metal show, and there is a lot of metal talk. You will not be disappointed. Also, if you're listening to this, I've got a couple of tickets to give away to Black Sabbath in Montreal on February 23rd, 2016. You can head over to the One-on-One Mitch Lafon Facebook page or over to my YouTube page, which I have under the name of Angel of Ace, actually. I'm hoping to get that changed over to a vanity name. But all the details are there on how you can win 2 tickets to see Black Sabbath in Montreal. There's a little video for you to watch and then a couple of things for you to do, and off you go. There you go. Well, hey, I have spoken quite a bit. Let's get right into the one, the only, Darryl DMC McDaniels of Run DMC, talking metal. We are speaking with Darryl McDaniels. Some of you might know him better as DMC from Run DMC. Good day, Darryl.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah. So, pleasure to talk to you. So, what I do here is a hard rock metal show. I interview Rob Halford and David Coverdale and this and that. And so people are saying, well, what is Run DMC? What is DMC from this hip-hop rap group doing on the show? Well, let me tell folks, you've got a new project with the former singer of Exodus and, of course, former guitarist of Guns N' Roses, Bumblefoot, Ron Thal, in a little something called Generation Kill. Now, I've had a chance to hear some of the songs, one in particular called Fired Up, which is great. So let's get talking about this. How is Darryl McDaniels involved in a heavy metal band?
All right, that's a great question. Well, first of all, when Run DMC got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2009, and now they're talking about other hip hop acts going in there. A lot of people, including Gene Simmons, was very vocal about how the hell can hip-hop be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? And he said some stuff about, we don't think hip-hop should be in there. And a lot of people just, on Twitter and all of that, just went in at Gene Simmons because he's very, very opinionated anyway. You know what I'm saying? That being said, when people finally got to me, I said, I understand where Gene's coming from. And people was like, what? Because when the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame concept is thought of, you think musicians.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Guitar players, but you think bands. So I said, Gene has a point with that. What Rock and Roll Hall of Fame should have did was, it should have been a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame just for rock and roll bands and artists. They should have did annexes, the soul music, the whatever, when Madonna went and they went, they had their, put Madonna, James Brown, this and that. But that being said, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame said this: if you play the flute, and you change the world and live and do and create history like a rock star, you can be in this Hall of Fame.
Right.
So that being said, I understood what Gene was saying, but other people said now they might not agree with a lot of other rappers going in, but 99% of people on the boards and people from 70s till now said, yo, most people discovered Run DMC as a rock group. The only thing that wasn't live on Rockbox, King of Rock, Tricky, Walk This Way was the sample drums. We brought in, on Rockbox, we had Eddie Martinez, who was playing with Quiet Riot, played the live riffs on Rockbox, played the live riffs on King of Rock, and Joe Perry himself came into the studio along with his partner Steven Tyler and redid their parts live for Walk This Way. So that being said, DMC on a heavy metal record makes 150% sense. Why? When I was a little kid growing up in Hollis, Queens, New York in the 70s, the radio station, 77 WABC, I think the jockey was Dan Ingram. I never knew it said Dan Ingram till about 10 years ago when somebody told me.
Right.
I just thought it was Dan, and I thought it was an instrument, but it was Dan Ingram.
Right.
I used to hear James Brown. I used to hear Jackson 5. I used to hear Sly and the Family Stone. I used to hear Marvin Gaye. I cared nothing about Black Power afros and high heels. There was something about Led Zeppelin. There was something about Neil Young and Crosby, Stills, Young, and Nash put those guitars on Ohio. There was something about the Beatles, and there's something about Dylan. There was something about rock music that when I was able to become the rapper DMC, I didn't want to be the king of rap. Who wants to be the king of rap? Rappers are sissies. They beef on Twitter. They don't address the issues that they should be talking about. But the rock stars, they make great music. They talk about great things. The guitars and the riffs is crazy. So DMC is the rock star in my imagination.
Right.
So what had happened to how this heavy metal collaboration came about, I went to Rock on the Range about 2 years ago. And I was backstage and I ran into Rob Dukes.
Yep.
Who was singing with Exodus at the time. He was like, yo, man, what's up, DMC? What's happening? I was like, yo, what's going on? How you doing? Whatever. And he was like, cool. We were just, we just fans of music. You know what I'm saying? Friends. And he was like, yo, I need to give you my album. And I was like, cool. But then I never seen him again.
Right.
I left the Rock on the Range in the morning and ran into Dukes in the airport. And he was like, oh, I'm so glad I could see you. He gave me his album, Generation Kill's new album. Hey, take this home and listen to it. And I jokingly said, man, we should do something together. And he said, I'm going to hold you to that. So long story short, I took the album home. I listened to it, fell in love with the record Carney Love. Got on the phone the next day. Oh, my God, I love this album. I love Carney Love. The riffs is dope. The singing is dope. The concerts is dope. The music is dope. The band is dope. Y'all got to produce a record for my solo album.
Right.
That was the plan, to produce a record for my solo album. So they produced a record for my solo album. That one record that they produced for my solo album, Fired Up, which you heard, came out so good. Came out so incredible. Duke said, oh, by the way, I was hanging with Bumblefoot. I told him what we was doing. He wants to produce and play on the album. Cool. We went in and we just started doing a record. It wasn't getting together to do a hip-hop, heavy metal collaboration. It wasn't to do it to get attention. It wasn't to do it to do business. It was just musicians and artists getting in and creating. That's how this whole thing came about.
Yeah, and it's turned out quite well. So the question is now, is this just a one-time collaboration, or could you see this, being a band that you'd like to go on tour with and make it part of your discography, part of your,
It's part of my legacy. Yeah, no, It's part of the musical legacy. It's But it's not like it's a one-time collaboration. I'll put it like this: it's an eternal collaboration.
Right.
We made a record. I mean, and I don't have any ego. The records are phenomenal. We did a record about racism. We did a record about suicide. We do records about substance abuse. We're doing records about relationships. We're doing records about politics. One of the first records that we did after we did Fired Up was a record about truck stop hookers. And I like to answer the question is, it's like, Generation Kill has their thing. I have my thing. But when DMC gets with Rob Dukes and Generation Kill, it's like we're this other band. It's like we're a band. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like when you look at Neil Young, and then he has Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and then Neil Young has his band. You know what I'm saying? So this is an eternal collaboration. We did an album as a collective band unit that came together. We want to make the album, and the main goal is not even to sell records. It's to take these records, let people hear the records, and then go around the globe and perform them for people. That's it. We want to make music, and we want to play it in front of an audience. And if it's a thing that blows people's minds, oh my God, it's DMC the hip hopper with Rob Dukes the metal guy and the metal band. And if you want to call it a coming together genres, this and that, but really it's just music. It's rock and roll with metal, hip hop, and rock elements.
If, or not if, but when the band goes out and plays a few shows, do you do sort of a hybrid show where with Bumblefoot you do a Guns song and then there's a Run DMC song, whether it's Walk This Way, you know, your interpretation of it, and then an Exodus song, or do you focus solely on we're just doing Generation Kill stuff?
Well, what? That's a great question. Right now, I've done a couple of shows with them. What we've been doing was they come out and do G Kill stuff, and then I come out, we do 3 or 4 songs off the new record, and we do a couple of Run DMC classics. That being said, when we finish the full album, we're going to do, the album probably won't have no more than 8 or 9 songs. When we do finish the album, when we do tour, or when we do shows as, you know, DMC Generation Kill, we will do the records we made together and probably 7 or 8 of the Run DMC songs. So it'll be a G Kill. It'll be the collaboration album, new music, with us doing Rockbox, King of Rock, Walk This Way, Tricky, Mary Mary. We do on the album we do a version of We Will Rock You by Queen. We do a Ram Jam version of Black Betty. So when we tour it's crazy, it's rocking. So when we tour, when we finish the album, we start doing shows, you will get the G Kill DMC collab, new music, and the most incredible thing I ever heard in my life is Rob Dukes, DMC, and the Generation Kill band doing Rockbox, King of Rock, Tricky, Walk. It's the most amazing thing ever. And the reason why I say that, it's a different interpretation of what DMC did with Run and J. You know, when Run DMC, even though, this kind of helps answer your question earlier, even though Run DMC kind of gave birth to the rock rap genre, you know, Korn, Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit, Kid Rock said Run DMC and Aerosmith had a baby, I popped out. You know, when we first put out Rockbox, the punk rockers and the Metallica fans and the metalheads said, yo, these dudes right here, they accepted. We can roll. These guys are allowed to come in. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I know exactly what you're saying, because listen, I was a kid back then. I was Rockbox. I was 15, 16. I was in that age, and so let's talk about that. You know, you're one of the first bands for me. You know, here I am, this kid in Montreal, and I love Kiss. I love Aerosmith. I love Cheap Trick. I'm listening to all those bands, And,
Right.
I'm watching whatever it was, Friday night videos on NBC or whatever it was.
Uh-huh.
And Rockbox comes on and these other
Right.
ones, and you go, huh, all right, these, because, we had seen some other sort of rap artists
Right.
and there was a dichotomy. It was like, no, Mitch likes Priest and Dio and stuff. And
Right.
these other you're one of the first crossover bands where
Right.
you were beyond genre.
Right.
Um,
Right.
that must have been very well. So let's talk about Rockbox. I mean, you're not just doing
Right.
this. There's heavy guitars. You're
Right.
creating a whole new genre.
Well, what the funny thing is, we never set out to create a genre. We didn't do rock music because we wanted to be rock stars. We didn't do rock music to get white people to like us. Before rap records was ever made, before hip-hop was ever recorded, before Rappers Delight, before we was allowed to go in the studio, before it was a business, when we did it as fun, when it was a hobby, when we did it in the streets of New York, the DJ used to have to find break beats for the MC, the rapper, to run his mouth. In a typical DJ's crate, there was always a James Brown record, because James Brown always had a funky drummer breakbeat. There was always a disco record. Disco records always had a bass line break in the middle of the record. Good times. Rapper's Delight is good times. Nile Rodgers, boom, 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 boom. So there was James Brown breakbeats. There was always disco records. There was always roller skating records with bass lines. There was always a jazz record. Run DMC's Peter Piper is Bob James, Take Me to the Mardi Gras. There was always funk records. But also, in the DJ's crates, from the early days of 1971, all the way up to when Rapper's Delight came out, in the DJ's crates, there was always rock record break beats. Billy Squires' Big Beat.
Right.
People know that record. Run DMC did live at the Funhouse over it. Boom, boom, bam, boom. Billy Squires' Big Beats. Aerosmith's Walk This Way wasn't Walk This Way to me and Run. We didn't know the name of the band was Aerosmith. We didn't know the name of the song was Walk This Way. We just knew the name of the album on the cover says Toys Attic. DJ, get that out and play the breakbeat number 4. When we did Rockbox, all I was trying to do, I told my producer, Larry Smith, we got to make a record like Billy Squires' Big Beat. Another one bites the dust. We will rock you. Rock music is a foundation of early hip-hop. There's no hip-hop if it wasn't for disco, funk, R&B records,
Right.
James Brown, and rock and roll and rock records. And for me, rock records, the drums were always stronger, and the riffs, the rock guitar riffs, Back in Black, Aerosmith, rock was always so much harder than disco and funk and R&B. So for me, I only wanted to rap over rock records. So when we did Rockbox, we wasn't trying to get a new genre. We wasn't even trying to get on MTV, because Walk This Way is a tongue twister. Walk This Way wasn't the first rock rap record. The first rock rap record was Rockbox, which was the first rap video on MTV. Then we followed Rockbox up by doing a record called King of Rock, which showed me and Run going into a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame museum and getting denied entry by Larry Bud Melman from the David Letterman show.
Oh, I remember that very well.
And you know what's crazy about that? When we got inducted in '09 in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they pulled me over to the side and said, DMC, we need to tell you something. I go, what? When y'all did King of Rock, that was prophetic. I said, what are you talking about? He said, in 1985, y'all did a video about y'all being denied entry into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and you screamed on Larry Bud Melman at the door. I said, yeah. He said, that was in '85. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame didn't start till '86. And I said, what? I said, hold up. when you say Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it had to be around since the 30s or the 40s. They said, no, D, that was pathetic of y'all. So that being said, when we did Rock Box, it wasn't nothing new to the rappers, but it was something new to the world.
It really was. Let me get into Aerosmith, because that was my band. I love Kiss, but in the 80s, Aerosmith was it. They come out with an album. Oh, Aerosmith was it. I mean,
that was it for you. Wow.
In the 70s, from like 77 to 80, it was all Kiss. Dynasty, Alive, blah, blah, blah.
Really?
And then they got a little wishy-washy, and then Aerosmith. I mean,
wow.
That was it. So they come out with Done With Mirrors in 1985, and the album doesn't really do well. And the band's in trouble. They're not selling shows. The album's not selling. The big reunion is a bust.
Right.
And I see a report on CNN, of all places, that says that Joe Perry and Steven Tyler have flown down to, I forget the word, I don't know where you were, Atlanta or something, to record this video, and that the other three guys couldn't go because there wasn't enough budget to have all five guys.
Wow.
Right? I mean, this was the report that I remember.
Wow.
How do you, first of all, get into having, to say I'm going to do a cover is one thing. To say I'm going to have Steven Tyler and Joe Perry is another. I mean, were they just so financially strapped that they will do anything, or was it out of respect, or how does the collaboration come together?
Well, it was started like this. We was working on a Raising Hell album. We probably was 6 or 7 records deep. I said to Jay, because we had already did Rock Box and King of Rock, I said, Jay, I really want to do a rhyme over the actual Toys in the Attic beat. Let's sample it and let me and Run rhyme on it. So me and Jay was in the studio, and we were sampling the actual record. We was going to loop the original. Back to the beginning with J Scratch, fucka fucka boosh. So the whole track was going to be 3 minutes and 30 seconds of the beat and the guitar in and out with me and Run rhyming, because it's 86 now. Run DMC got a little buzz. We got a little confidence now. It was going to be I'm DMC in the place to be, the best MC in history. I've been rhyming on a mic since 83. There will never be an MC better than me. And then Run was supposed to go, and I'm TJ Run, and I'm number one, and I'm here to get it done because I'm, under the sun, whatever. So we're in the studio sampling the record. Rick Rubin, who was working with us as a producer on the album, walks into the studio, and he says, hey, guys, you know what you need to do with this record? And we go, what? He says, y'all need to really do it over. So me and Run, we was thinking from a limited hip-hop perspective. We said, what the hell you think we're going to do, Rick? We're going to sample it and we're going to rhyme on it. And Rick says, no, you need to really do the record over as is. Me and Run had never, ever, ever heard this lyrics. Jay would never let the record play that far. So Rick starts giving us the 411 on a group, everything you just told me. The name of this group is Aerosmith, Steven Tyler, Joey Kramer, Joe Perry. They was really big. They're going through some trouble. He gave us the whole 411 on it. And Jay goes, yo, that might be a great idea. Me and Ron goes, hold up, slow your roll. You're taking this rock rap stuff too far. If it ain't going to be like Rock Box and King of Rock, we ain't doing nothing that's fake and corny. So Rick takes the record off the turntable in the studio, gives me and Run a yellow notepad. They still in existence today, and a pen. It says, leave the studio, go to D's basement, put the needle on the record, sit there, let the record play, and learn the lyrics, write them down so that y'all can say them in the studio. So me and Run drive to Queens. We go down in my basement. We put the needle on the record. It goes, backstroke lover. We hear Steven's voice. We get on the phone. Oh, hell no. We're not doing this. This is hillbilly gibberish. This is country bumpkin music. This is some crazy off-the-wall mountain country rock folk. Y'all trying to ruin our careers. Africa Bambaataa and the Zulu Nation ain't going to like us. We are not doing these lyrics this way. What? Yeah. Like that. And we hung up on them, and for a whole week, me and Run hit out. Because we was not going to do what we just heard. So, set change. A week later, we get a phone call. It's Jay. You can still hear Run's brother Russell screaming in the background, those stupid MFers, this and that, stupid-ass Joey and stupid-ass Darryl following Joey. And Jay said, Russell, stop screaming at him, and you keep screaming at him, and never going to come. Jay says, yo, what's up, y'all? I'm in the studio right now. Rick done called Boston, and he got Joe Perry and Steven Tyler here in the studio to do the record over. Me and Run, we crying, yeah, Jay, but this is not real hip-hop. We want to say our rhymes, this and that. And all Jay said was this, yo, just come to the studio. Y'all got to come with your A game because Steven Tyler is in here busting your ass because Steven Tyler was in there doing his lyrics. Steven Tyler was in the studio having a ball. Jay told him to DJ. Steven Tyler was damn near breakdancing. Joe Perry just sat in the corner, quiet, didn't want nothing except water till it was time to play. So we get to the studio, and Jay just says this to us. He says, yo, don't do the record. Don't sing the record. Don't sing those lyrics the way Steven Tyler sung them. Rap those lyrics the way Run and D would rap them. So me and Run went in there, and we did the record. We did it with Steve, everything that you hear to this day. When we finished, the same thing that you hear today, that everybody hears today, when we finished, everybody was high-fiving each other. Me and Run looked at everybody in the room and said, y'all could be happy as y'all want, but y'all better not never put this record out as a single. True story.
Isn't that unbelievable? Because it changed, it changed history in the sense that the Raising Hell album and Run DMC's career, you know, you were progressing, but that shot you way up. And then, of course...
that shot us into the Mick Jagger stratosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's be perfectly frank, and I was an Aerosmith fan, you saved the band. That comes out, and they get all this heat going.
Oh, it was right. What happened with them was this. Imagine you Aerosmith, and the phone rings. And the assistant picks up the phone, and the first thing you hear is the assistant says, hey, my name's Rick Rubin. I'm producing the rap group Run DMC, and I want you guys to do a song with me. And you go, come again? My name is Rick Rubin. I'm producing Run DMC, the rap group Run DMC. We want to do Walk This Way Over, and we want y'all guys to do this with us. Hold on 1 second. Put Rick on hold, calls out to the guys. They in the studio now. They could have spent $30 million on a marketing plan. They could have spent $15 million on a big PR campaign. They could have, people tell me, yo, D, they could have made a record with God and nobody would have cared. It was like, hey, guys, some guy named Rick Rubin is on the phone saying that the rap group Run DMC, yeah, we heard of them, wants to do your record Walk This Way Over. Do y'all want to do it? Give props to Steve and Joe and the rest of the band for going, oh, what the hell we got to lose? It was one of those situations when, why not? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because, why not? You know, listen, in 84, 85, when Aerosmith got together and did Done With Mirrors, had that been a multi-platinum success, they might not have taken the call. They would have said, Rick, who? Leave us alone.
Exactly. You know, and even at that point, even though our buzz was rising because of Rockbox and King of Rock, even at that time in 86, the critics still thought rap was a fad. People were saying, DMC, where do you think you'll be in 2 years? Is rap a fad? Are y'all going to go out like the hula hoop? Are y'all going to be over like disco? Remember? Because at the same time, we was buzzing up when punk rock was making its mark. You know what I'm saying? And our saving grace to rock and everything. If you would have came to New York in, 85, 86, 87, 88, and you went into the clubs, you would see Lou Reed. You would see the Ramones. You would see the Beastie Boys. You would see Keith Haring. You would see Basquiat. You would see all the journalists and writers and the publishers. You would see all the artists all together. We got a lot of love from the Ramones and from Lou Reed. People tend to forget Debbie Harry made a rap song about Grandmaster Flash. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
But
That's right.
to the world, it was like, yeah, this rap stuff, it ain't going to last or whatever. So when Rick reached out to them, I think the thing that made the Walk This Way collaboration so honorable was if we would have sampled it, it wouldn't have been that well respected. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I fully agree.
By us completely doing a remake the way they did it and doing it with them, it was an honorable, respectful tribute to rock and roll. If me and Ron would have did it the way that we did it, sample their music and rhyme about me and us, it would have been one of the things that happened even on rock radio when the record did go to rock radio in their hometown of Boston. After we recorded the record, when we put the Raising Hell album out, the original singles off of Raising Hell was My Adidas and Peter Piper. Those were the two singles. Those singles went to all the urban stations. Behind our backs, they said Walk This Way to all the rock stations, and they also said Walk This Way to all the urban stations. And when it got to rock radio in Detroit, rock radio did this. It was like, yo, we have this new song. I know you heard of these guys, Run DMC. They do some great stuff. They had Rock Box, King of Rock, but we don't know how long this is going to last. You know, this rap thing could be a fad. They did a remake of our hometown band Aerosmith's Walk This Way. We get ready to play that for y'all. We're going to play it for y'all, and we're going to take some calls. So they play our version with Joe Perry and Steven Tyler in Boston on rock radio. They finish playing it. They take the phone calls. It was 80-20. 80% was like, yo, I think I like this better than the original. Or, yo, this is real cool. Or, yo, I kind of like it. Can y'all play it again so I can listen to it one more time? But you had that 20% that was like, who do these rap guys think they are? This is blasphemy. You know what I'm saying? It was almost like the 20% that wouldn't let go and give us a chance. You know what I'm saying? We're going to find these guys and we're going to string them up, you know, by their necks. It was one of those things where, what the hell are these hip-hop guys are so disrespectful? That being said, the reason why the 80% went with it, we did it with them. We did an updated version of the classic that they love. And since we did it with them, it was kind of like, yo, it was a cool gesture. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the whole thing came about was, you know, we never set out to do something and create a genre. I just want the world to know that Walk This Way, the original one, to this day, is still one of my favorite breakbeats to freestyle over.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I was in both of those percentages. I was the 80 and the 20. I remember,
Right.
You know, Much Music in Canada said, we're going to premiere a new video, blah, 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 Walk This Way. And my Aerosmith fan side said, dude, that's not Walk This Way. You can't mess with that. And then I watched the video and I went, all right, I need to see that again.
Yeah, exactly.
I wasn't convinced.
Right.
You know, that side was holding on. That said, no. And then I saw it again. And I went, all right, this is cool. Damn it.
Yeah. And that was the most thing. I mean, most people discovered it that way. They was flipping through channels or whatever and was like, what the hell? And it was almost like the Walk This Way fans was like, what the hell is Steven Tyler and Joe Perry doing with these guys? And the Run DMC fans was like, what the hell is Run D doing with the damn Rolling Stones? Like, you know, it was just so confusing.
Right.
But when people saw the video...
Whoops, I'm losing a little bit of the audio there.
Huh?
Oh, there you go. Okay, the phone was breaking up, but you're sounding better now. Okay, go for it. Yeah, so
I was saying, you know, to this day, people say, yo, D, the part where Steven Tyler takes the mic stand and knocks down the wall, that really happened in the universe. That was a significant moment in culture. You know what I'm saying? When Steven Tyler knocked down that wall, that symbolized what was happening for the Aerosmith fans that accepted this movement and for the hip-hop fans that accepted the movement. You know, we were all, the video shows us all on the different sides of the walls doing something different with the same thing. All it was people using it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when that wall came down in the video, when we came together, it created, you know, Korn, Travis Barker, and all of those dudes said that was symbolic of the separation that was placed up, and all it was just music. But that being said, we had no idea what we were doing because, like I said, it was just one of our favorite records to rap over when we were teenagers.
Yeah, and it changed everything. Now, let's go to the other side of the coin. 2002, you're touring with Aerosmith and Kid Rock, and there's a bunch of shows announced, and the shows you do the shows, and then there was going to be an extension and more shows.
Yep.
And the other guys in the band just said, "Yeah, listen, we're done." It wasn't a grandiose moment. It wasn't like, "Hey, we're on a tour with Aerosmith." It was more like, "We're on a tour with Aerosmith." Tell me a little bit about that tour, and why wasn't there more? Hey, let's do 100 shows. Let's do 200 shows. Why was it sort of a down kind of moment?
We was only supposed to do
35.
the first half of the tour.
Right.
That was the original contract to do the first half of the tour. By Run DMC and Kid Rock coming out at the end of everybody's performances and doing Walk This Way last, it was one of the most phenomenal moments in every night.
Agreed.
So then Steve Tyler and the band, they was like, "Yo, we want y'all to do the rest of the tour." It was Run who didn't want to do the rest of the tour.
Right.
So he was like, "No, I'm done. I want to go do my Rev Run thing, this and that, whatever." So we didn't do the rest of the tour.
Was that, for the lack of a better word, annoying to you? Did you just want to say, "Hey, dude, we got a good gig here. We got to make some good money. What are you doing?" I mean, were you frustrated?
No, not really. It was just, okay, it is what it is. I mean, it was actually Jay that said, "Yo, we need to do this. Let's do this." But it was it wasn't a thing where, me and Jay could get mad. It's just respect. Okay, guys don't, you can't force somebody to do what they don't want to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, fair enough.
That just creates more stress and more tension. It is what it is. All right, we won't do no more of the tour. And, we came off the tour, and then Jay got shot and killed, and that really ended everything.
Yeah, and that's an unfortunate. I mean, yeah.
Even Steven Tyler was like, "You guys are," and it was like family, Kid Rock, Run DMC, Steve on the tour. Even Steven Tyler was like, "You guys don't want to come play with us no more." You know what I'm saying? Like, when you was kids and you had fun going around the corner to play with the new guys and became friends, and then all of a sudden, for some reason, the new guys don't want to come and play with you, and you start thinking something wrong with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah. I want to cover a couple more topics before we wrap this up. Also, your Darryl Makes Comics, the DMC Comics.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that. How does DMC, Darryl McDaniels, get into comic books? I mean, how does that fit into the whole legacy?
Before music.
Right.
Before hip-hop. Before all this hip-hop rap stuff, Walk This Way stuff. Before music came, and before Run put me in the group and I made my first record with him, before I even heard Rapper's Delight or any of that, my first and only love at the time before hip-hop and rock and roll was comic books. I was a little Catholic school kid, straight A's, always on the honor rolls. You know what I'm saying? I wore my glasses. I was a little nerdy Catholic school kid from Hollis, Queens, New York that got good grades and did what weird, nerdy kids did. Sit in the back and read comic books. Go home and read comic books. Comic books was my whole existence. I got my first comic book in kindergarten, and I used to draw stick figures of Batman and the Flash and Spider-Man and Captain America. Then by second grade, I was able to draw. So I used to buy comic books, read them, and draw. Even if you listen to King of Rock,
right,
in 1985, when DJ Run says, "I'm DJ Run, I can scratch." I don't go, "I'm DMC, I can rap." I go, "I'm DMC, I can draw." So comic books was my love. Comic books was my first and only love. And when I started doing the hip-hop thing, all the inspiration, all the creativity, all the reading, writing, language skills, all the imagination, all the delivery, all the representation, all the presence that I got from comic books, I use to become the king of rock, the devastating mic controller, the microphone master. I cut the head off the devil and I throw it at you. All my raps was me make-believing, and this is what I always tell kids, your imagination is real. My whole hip-hop career was just me writing stories of being the most dominant entity in the so-called hip-hop universe. The king of rock, there is none higher. Thor is the son of Odin. So I became the son of Biford, brother of Al. Banner's my mother and runs my pal. All of that. King of rock, crash through walls, come through floors, bust through ceilings and knock down doors. People thought I was talking about hip-hop and rap music. No, I was me writing superhero stories. So superheroes, Marvel comic books was my first love because, you know, Marvel comic books, Stan Lee and them really had superheroes in New York. DC was cool. Batman was my favorite, Justice League, Flash and all of that. But Gotham and Metropolis was fictional.
Right.
Stan Lee really had superheroes running around New York. And when hip-hop came over the bridge to Queens, you saw the breakdancers, you saw the graffiti artists, you saw the DJs, the art, the style, the clothing, the breakdancers moved. It was like comic books came to life. So it was a natural transgression for me to have a creative. I would have never did hip-hop if there wasn't a writing element to it. Hip-hop allowed this shy little kid that read comic books to write and then speak. You know what I'm saying? Speak about who he is. I'm DMC. And the place to be, I go to St. John's University, you know, Christmas time in Hollis, Queens. Comic books gave me the educational, inspirational, motivational, creative presence that allowed me to not just become a rapper, but one of the greatest rappers, not even just the greatest rapper. Other rappers is the greatest of all times, the best-selling one. I am the king of this hip-hop universe, and it's all because of comic books, that creativity. And think about it like this. I was a good student all my years in elementary school, even at a time where the educators was like, there's something wrong with the kids that read comic books. Don't let the kids read. What they didn't know was because I was reading, I was an excellent student, and it did stuff like this for me. In school, in history, I would learn about World War II, right? But Captain America would take me there. Every day and every night I would come home and read about Captain America during World War II. So when I had to take the test at the end of the week, I got A++++++. In science, I would learn about the planets and the comets and the galaxies and the rings of Saturn. But I would come home and pick up my Silver Surfer comic book, and Silver Surfer and Galactus would take me to the farthest reaches of the universe. The reason why I was a good student, the reason why I'm the king of rock, the reason why my little rhymes, you know what I'm saying? I'm not like the best MC like Jay-Z and Eminem and stuff like that, but the reason why I am more powerful than any entity for eternity in hip-hop is because of that creative imagination comic books gave me. And what had happened was about 2 years ago, I went to do a music meeting up at Atlantic Records, and I was going to meet Riggs Morales, who was Eminem's right-hand man at Shady Records for the rise of that great empire. And I go into the meeting, and we're supposed to be about music, and Riggs Morales just looks at me and says, yo, DMC, I'm usually very professional, man. And he says these words, but you was like my superhero, man. You know, Run DMC and all you guys, everything you did, the way you delivered your stuff, this and that. He just asked me, what was it like when you was a kid? And I told him what I just told you. Well, I went to Catholic school my whole life, and all I did was read comic books. And when I said the word comic books, his face lit up, the heavens opened up, the angels started playing harps and blowing the trumpet, and we sat there for 2 hours like little kids talking about comic books. And he just looked at me and said, D, have you ever thought about doing a comic book? And I said, no. And he said, why not? I said, because I don't want to be a rapper just because I had a hit record trying to do something else. You know, I like to stay in my lane. And he said, D, Don't do it as the celebrity DMC putting out a comic book as a business. He said, do it as Darryl McDaniels, the little kid who loved comic books even before all this music stuff. And he just convinced me to create a universe. You know, DMC, people always looked at you as a superhero, so you could be the superhero in this universe. And the thing that got me to do the comic book was, he said, D, everything you've ever done with your music, positive, inspirational, motivational, educational concepts, images, and ideas, you can do in this universe too. And that's why I decided to do the DMC comic book.
Now, as far as the comics go, how much of it is from, I mean, are the drawings and the storyline all you, or do you just sort of come into a room and say, okay, this is what we want to do, now team, do it?
Me and my two editors, Edgardo Miranda Rodriguez and Riggs Morales, we're a three-man team. We go in a room, we create the universe and the stories. Then we go out to get the artists, inkers, paints, pencilers, and writers to write it for us. We didn't do the record. I didn't do this comic book as a self-indulgent, egotistical thing.
Gotcha.
The DMC superhero is just the first superhero introduced to you in this universe. We're trying to do what Marvel and DC has been doing and continue to do now. By issue number 20, you might not even like the DMC superhero. You might fall in love with the new villain, or you might fall in love with the other superheroes. But we just wanted to create a universe that we can address issues, topics, current events, past, present, and future, homophobia, politics, war, economics, drugs, education, relationships with teenagers, relationships with kids and teachers, relationships with politicians and businessmen. We wanted to create a real world, real time, alternate universe. The DMC in the book is Darryl McDaniels, me. Everything about me is the character in the book, except I don't grow up to become a rapper. In this universe that I'm talking to you on the phone, my superpower is hip-hop and rock and roll. But in the comic book universe, it's Darryl McDaniels. I really got superpowers. I never meet Run. I don't become a rapper. I graduate St. John's University, and I become a teacher. But this teacher, Darryl McDaniels, happens to be the superhero running around the cities and the other boroughs fighting all the evildoers. In the universe, when you come into the universe, there's already other superheroes in addition to the DMC superheroes. But those other superheroes, they have other motives. Like one superhero is, all right, you want me to save the city, you got to pay me. And, if this guy got superpowers and we about to die, what are you going to do? And, the other superhero is that I'm out to kill all the gay people and I'm out to kill all the black people. I only defend the white people. I only defend the rich people. So all these other superheroes in this universe ain't really for the people. The people in the city see through all these other superheroes, and they know that the DMC superhero is a superhero for all people, and he don't want nothing for it. He's doing it because he know he was given a power, and like Aunt May told Spider-Man in the Spider-Man movie, with great power comes great responsibility. So, the way that I carried myself with my music, you know what I'm saying? Every record that I do, every TV show that I do, every event that I do has to have a bigger purpose than just me. Although I love rocking the mic, all of my lyrics and all of my storylines and all of my records will always have something that somebody could take something away that will empower them in order to make their universe a better day. So the DMC comic book is just a alternate universe of Darryl McDaniels doing everything that I did throughout my hip-hop rock and roll life in this universe.
By the way, first of all, how cool would it be for you to be in a Marvel movie? And this sounds to me like a perfect Netflix series. The Darryl, the DMC comic Netflix series. I think that would be great. I'll ask you a couple more questions. Go ahead.
Yeah. We got a lot of we're talking to some great people. I don't want to reveal nothing yet. We're talking to some great people about doing something that is very important for generations with this thing, as you said. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But right now, our main goal is to be one of the dopest comic books. Like, I don't want to, hip hop especially has a habit of, you know, doing liquor and beer and clothing lines and restaurants that don't last. My goal and my vision, and it's a big one, and everybody, you know, all the journalists, all the writers, all the geeks and the nerds from pop culture are fighting with me to make this happen. You know, to say, I don't want, you know, 5 years from now, yo, remember that comic book DMC did? Or remember that toy DMC put out? Or remember that movie DMC put out? My vision is this. It's so much bigger than me. The same way you can say Superman, Batman, Mickey Mouse, Bugs Bunny, and Donald Duck for life, I want people to be able to say Superman, Batman, Mickey Mouse, Incredible Hulk, Spider-Man, Avengers, and the DMC universe. This is something that has to have life for eternity. And that's why I utilize up-and-coming artists, writers, pencils, inkers, older artists, writers, pencils, inkers, female, Latino. My production team, my artists, my writers, my inkers, my pencilers will be generationally diverse and racially diverse and age, you know, wise diverse. I'm trying to create something that 250 years from now, people can look back to 2014 and say, man, remember when issue 1 of the DMC universe came back? And that's important for the kids that are, you know, all the kids that like DMC's Tricky song and all the kids that like Walk This Way. I want to do something that in addition to my music, they'll be able to share with their grandsons. It's a big responsibility. But when we started this comic book publication, we said there's 2 things we have to do. It's got to be a tribute and celebration of the very same inspiration that comic books gave us. And number 1, just like my music, just like the music I'm doing with Rob Deuce and Generation Kill, you know, for the metal heads and for the hip hop heads and for the rock heads, everything has to be done with respect and integrity. And if you do that, the bottom line is it doesn't have to make a lot of money, but it will last forever, and it will be one of the most valuable, iconic things for generations to participate in, partake of.
Right.
That's the goal.
And I'll mention that people can go check that out at dmc-comics.com. I'll ask you 2 more questions because we're getting to an hour. 2010, you did a song with another metal band called Jackal, which are known, of course, for chainsaws, and a song called, what was that song? Suck My Cock or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, something like that. You did a song just like a Negro with Jackal. How was it working with the band, and what was sort of the concept there? I mean, it's a funny song. Weird. I mean, it's a funny song. It's funny.
Well, first of all, right off the go, when you say just like a Negro, it's the most controversial thing to ever attempt, especially with a country rock band. You know what I'm saying? That ride motorcycles and brandish chainsaws. That being said, let me just say this. Jackal is one of the best bands ever to do rock and roll. Let's get that straight. Those 4 dudes by themselves put on the best show that rock or music anybody could ever witness or hear. Now, that being said, that came about because one day I was working at Jesse James' studio.
Right.
I was in Jesse James' studio, and his son Nigel comes in.
Right.
Oh, shoot, DMC, this and that. Me and Nigel's kicking it, so Nigel runs in the back room. Dad, DMC from Run DMC is in the studio. And Jesse's like, what the hell are you talking about, son? Dad, you got to go meet him. So when Jesse walks into the studio, I scream like a groupie. Why? It's funny how things work. Earlier that week, I'm just surfing, and I come over the Full Throttle Saloon TV show that they was doing about the Full Throttle Saloon in Sturgis that they do every year.
That's the one I think it just burnt down, I think.
Yeah, it just burnt down, man. It's heartbreaking, man. Mike Ballard and big shout out to those dudes, man. I love them dudes. So I'm channel surfing and I could not turn the TV off the show. And I'm looking at Sturgis and Jesse and the band's playing. I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. That being said, when Jesse walks in the studio, I scream like a groupie, oh my God, and I'm saying all this stuff, and Jesse's amazed. Like, it's like, how does this dude know me or whatever. And I'm saying, I love the show. I don't believe this is happening, man. I was just watching you all week. I don't know, the gods, the rock gods must have knew this had to happen. So he just basically looks at me and says, and I love Jesse, he said, yo, you want to go to Sturgis? So I went to Sturgis. I went to Sturgis with Jackal about 5 years ago. The thing that got us together was he was like, yo, you coming to Sturgis, man, we going to play with you. We do Tricky and we do Walk This Way. And we did that for the first 2 years of Sturgis, and they was like, yo, we need to make a record together. And Jesse being a respected individual in music, I mean, all the artists respect him. Him and his band is one of the most talented rock and roll entities on the face of the earth. He actually knew the guys from Mother's Finest. So he's with DMC, and he knows DMC is not ashamed of anything. And Jesse said he wants to make a statement in front of audience. He was like, yo, and it's funny, he goes, we're going to do a record that's going to be a tribute to the blues, Robert Johnson and all the great blues, Jimi Hendrix and stuff like that. And I'm like, cool. So I'm thinking we're going to just do a record and we're going to talk about them. He says, no, we're going to do a remake of this black rock group called Mother's Finest that made this record called Just Like a Negro, right? And he plays me the track, and right away I was like, yo, Jesse, just give me 16 bars. We're going to go on and we're going to make this music, and we're going to make this record, and we're going to start doing it at our shows. And, they continuously call me, take me all around the nation. We get up on stage, we do Just Like a Negro, we do Tricky, and then we go on to Walk This Way Jackal style, and it's one of the most awesome, energetic, fun times that an audience and a rock band could ever have together. But it was all Jesse's brainchild, and what I like about it is, when you say Just Like a Negro, the first thing people is, like, if you go look at the comments on YouTube, oh my God, it's crazy.
I saw them.
Oh my God,
and
it's off the hook. But then you got the couple of people that saying no. See, y'all so busy looking at Jesse and them being white. First of all, why would DMC be jumping around with some white guys dissing them or whatever? And then people said, don't y'all even know what the record is about? Look at the video. We big up George Clinton. We big up Robert Johnson. We big up Jimi Hendrix. That record is one of in the way that Jesse planned to do it, is one of the most positive, respective things about rock and roll in the first place. So I like it because it's ballsy, you know what I'm saying? It's controversial, but it's rock and roll. And when we do that in front of, tens of thousands of people every night, and the audience understands it. You know what I'm saying? You got rednecks, you got black people, you got hip hoppers there. I mean, just by being with Jesse, James, and Jackal, 2 years ago, at one of the Full Throttle events I get a call from Nigel. Yo, Nigel. Nigel calls me. Yo, D, you gotta come over to the field right now. You have to see this band. I was open. I got to see Pop Evil play, and I saw Pop Evil play. Then me and Pop Evil went and did a record together. And the same way I ran. One thing I like about rock musicians and metal musicians, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's the dudes from Anthrax, or whether it's Tom Morello, or whether it's Pop Evil, whether it's Jackal, or whether it's John Moyer from Disturbed, or whether it's Joan Jett, we meet and we look at each other and say, the same thing Eric Clapton and B.B. King used to do. Hey, what are you doing? I'm playing the club on the corner. All right, I'm coming with you. And they play the club, and then they're going to make a record together. And that's what we're doing. It's just musicians and artists, creative people coming together to bring audiences together to have a good time. And Jackal just made me, the same way I'm like, I got a rhyme, It's me, DMC, and I shoot the gift. I'm an honorary member of Aerosmith. Every now and then, Steve calls me, yo, Deke, I need you to come to Hyde Park in London and do the show with me. Yo, I'll be in Jersey at the Meadowlands. I need you to come with me. It's just a family thing of musicians that did something great that want to continue to share what we did with people. And Jesse came with this, and even though it was outrageous, just like a Negro, it's one of the dopest things to ever happen to rock and hip hop.
Yeah, I mean, the Village Voice, unfortunately, didn't agree, but
I know
the Village
they don't
Voice.
you know what, and they do not have to.
Right.
They do not. They shouldn't. You know what I'm saying? I don't want the people that the people that the Village Voice wrote that who feels like them. I don't want them. I want somebody to just say, yo, this is the craziest shit that I ever heard or seen. That's all we need. And who cares what the Village Voice says? We have fun doing it.
Agreed.
We have fun doing it. You know what I'm saying? And that being said, there's people that say, Run DMC was overrated, this and that, boom, bang. Yeah, that may be true. Me, myself, I was never the greatest vocalist. You know what I'm saying? But for hip-hop to say, Tricky, Walk This Way, My Adidas, Peter Piper, those records will be eternally heard and respected. Like, somebody just recently told me, D, this is what's going to happen till the end of the world. Every Christmas, there's going to be Bing Crosby with I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. And I'm seeing this as a little kid. And then Nat King Cole, he had the other hit, Chestnuts Roasting on and on, right? They say, till the world ends, it's going to be Bing Crosby, Nat King Cole, and Run DMC's Christmas for Hollis. Who would ever think that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and by the way, for anybody who says that Run DMC is overrated or whatever, I would have to disagree, because as a white kid from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, if it wasn't for Run DMC, I never would have heard of rap. I never would have heard of hip hop. I mean, when that came on Much Music and Friday night videos on NBC and stuff, if it wasn't for those songs, that whole culture would just not have existed for me. It wouldn't have existed.
That's true. That's true, and I'm happy that I was one of the conduits for that to come through. And that being said, there would be no Rock Boxing King of Rock if it wasn't for Billy Squier and Walk This Way. You know what I'm saying? When I heard Billy Squier, I was shook, but when I heard Steven Tyler, I knew I was hooked. Like, rock and roll for me has always been the foundation, because, and also that being said, a lot of people said, when they saw Kiss, Kiss was like these rock and roll superhero things. So for me, rock music always gave me a confidence, an energy, and, whether it was Neil Young singing about Kent University or John Fogerty singing Looking Out My Back Door, one thing that rock did to me, Harry Chapin, Cats in the Cradle, Jim Croce, Bad Leroy Brown, they sung songs that was relevant to this little black kid growing up in the 70s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
It wasn't, I was too young to think about love. So when I would turn on the radio, what John Lennon did after the Beatles, you know what I'm saying? I just heard the record, driving the day from the gym, and it came on, and I felt like I was in fourth grade again when they played the Doobie Brothers, Old Blackwater, Keep on Rolling. The way that record sounds, man, when I was a little kid, there was something about that record. That record is like one of my top 5 records of all time. You know what I'm saying?
I do, and I want to talk about, and I'll end on this so we don't go on for 2 hours. Comedian Chris Rock, who, by the way, I think is my favorite comedian. I mean, that guy's just brilliant. Says that Raising Hell is not only in his top 25 albums of all time, it's in his top 5 albums of most influential, best albums, so on and so forth. To you, what is the importance of Raising Hell when you look back on that in terms of historically, moment in time, where it fit in, and what does that record mean to you?
Well, historically, I think Raising Hell, I mean, there's so many great albums, but I think Raising Hell's significance is Raising Hell is kind of like what Chuck D says is, as Chuck D says, Run DMC is the Beatles of rap. Hands down, that's what it is. I think Raising Hell is our Sergeant Pepper. Like, just, it was Ray put it like this: Raising Hell is the complete, perfect hip-hop album when nobody thought it could be done. That being said, that set the foundation. That was like us putting our flag in the moon. We're here, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because before, like, Raising Hell could have did two things. It could have just been the great album that it was, and then hip-hop could have fell off. You know what I'm saying? And Raising Hell is the complete representation of you know how if you say what is the significant rock album? This is what Raising Hell is for hip hop and the rap rock genre. It's that one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it changed everything. And again, I'll go back to this. 1986. How old was I in '86? A little 24, I guess I was, something like that.
Right.
It brought an attention that. No, in fact, I wasn't 24. Sorry, I was. How old was I I was 16.
Right, I forget, right, because I was 18 in '84. No, I was 20.
Yeah, so it changed everything, and of
Right.
course, people with Aerosmith on there, people forget also that you also sampled My Sharona from the Knack on that album.
Yes, exactly. Yep, that's true. And I also think I think Raising Hell showed that. Even though we were in the sample and stuff like that, I think one of the things that made Run DMC acceptable was, like, we didn't just rap over beats, we made songs. You know what I'm saying? Raising Hell proves that hip-hop can be a legitimate form of music. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't like we were just running our mouths, oh, we're from Hollis. We had It's Tricky, we had Mary Mary, we had Walk This Way. We had Bob James, Peter Piper. We used Nursery. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just it wasn't just a bunch of rappers rapping.
Well,
we made music.
And in fact, that's what I was going to say. I fully understand because, and I don't mean this as a disrespect to the people before you, but it wasn't dumb in the sense that there were songs, there were lyrics, there was thought.
Right.
It really was, to be cliche, it was the total package. And,
exactly. Yep.
And there you go. And here we are. What is it? 33 years later.
33 years later, it's crazy. And that being said, the collaboration album that I'm doing with Rob Dukes, hands down, is one of the greatest voices ever. Like, this dude can really sing. He could do the yell, he could do the growl, he could do the thrash thing. But his favorite group of all times is Queen. His favorite artist is Eddie Mercury. So you can imagine what's in this. But the Generation Kill DMC collaboration album is great songs, man. It's great songs, and it's Rob and him is taking me to another level because me and Rob is we're writing and we're singing, rapping, talking together. You know what I'm saying? You heard Fired Up.
Yeah, well,
Fired Up.
I've actually heard
Fired
4
Up,
songs.
The next 6 songs that you hear don't sound nothing like Fired Up. Just Fired Up is like Tricky on steroids. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed. Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, we got stuff that sounds like Metallica meets Pink Floyd. We got stuff that sounds like Crosby, Stills, Young and Nash meets Johnny Cash. The things that we're doing musically and vocally and in the songwriting mode is I don't even think it's special. What I'm doing with Rob Dukes and Generation Kill is fun, and that fun transcends off the records, out the studio, to the audience and the listeners. So I think the people will be very happy when they hear the records and come see us do them. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, now, when I interviewed Rob last week, he said the record would be out probably in May of 2016. And, of course, I don't want to understate Ron Bumblefoot's contribution, because that guy, he knows how to produce records, and
Oh my God.
in terms of laying down guitar solos, he was in the shadow of another guitarist in the band that he was with. But I mean, he's not just he is a masterful guitar player.
No.
He's the real deal.
He is yeah. No, I mean, he's a musician, artist, producer, sound guy, engineer. Ron Bumblefoot is something special. Very, very, very humble, but very, 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 very gifted. I mean, he's producing, and he's playing on these records with us. Like, it's almost like the joke is we're making a movie ready for 3D, and Ron is taking it to a Sense-Around for the big giant screens, man. I mean, he takes it to a whole nother level. With his production, his arrangement, his ear, and the solos that he has given us on this album are legendary.
Yeah, I would love to, by the way, to see the band head over and play in Montreal. We've got a big festival up here called Heavy Montreal. I think the band would be perfect, but tell
the promoter, give me a spot and I'll get the band there.
Oh, I'd love to. In fact,
done.
DMC Generation Kill. Let's see. I would love to see them raising hell in Montreal. Let's put it that way.
We coming.
DMC, this was absolutely fantastic. It was a curious thrill for me because the band has always existed just on TV for me, and it was
right.
One of the. It changed everything. I was so into Aerosmith and so into Kiss and so into, all the hair metal and the Def Leppard. And
I know the Def Leppards and all those guys.
Yeah, and then you guys came out of somewhere and you just went, well, wait a minute, Mitch. Hey, there's more than just that. There's this. And, it's very rare that artists can cross generations, and cross genres. Metallica's been able to do it. Madonna's been able to do it. U2's been able to do it. And Run DMC was able to do it. So it's a testament to the quality of music and what you guys did. So thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for the last hour. It's been...
Thank you. Well, we're going to have to talk again when the album's complete. Because I know you're going to want to go through these songs and say, what the hell was y'all thinking with that one?
Yeah. Well, listen, I can admit I've heard 4 of them, and I need to hear 4 more. I mean, they're
coming.
They're great. They're intriguing.
Thank
they're
you.
Great. They're like you said, they're you've got this sort of DMC tricky stuff on steroids.
Yeah,
you've got
crazy.
Yeah, it's great. DMC, thank you. Great pleasure.
Yeah, well, thank you. We appreciate it, and just let all the listeners know that when this album is done, we coming to a venue near you just to have fun.
Absolutely. Thank you. Been a great pleasure. There you have it, folks. My interview with Darryl DMC McDaniels of Run DMC fame. Hall of Fame band, by the way. A rock and roll Hall of Fame band. So glad to see them in there. I certainly hope you enjoyed our conversation. We talk a lot of metal. Do me a favor. Check out the new music from DMC Generation Kill featuring former Exodus singer Rob Dukes and former Guns N' Roses guitarist Ron Bumblefoot Thal. The album is slated to come out in May or June of 2016, but you head over to YouTube, you can find a whole bunch of making of, best of videos and so on and so forth. Definitely worth checking out. Head over to my YouTube page to find out about the Black Sabbath contest. A reminder is I have 2 tickets for Black Sabbath in Montreal on February 23rd, 2016 to give away. And if you want to find more Mitch, head over to Twitter at Mitch Lafon. There is a one-on-one Mitch Lafon Twitter as well. The Facebook page is one-on-one Mitch Lafon. Not enough room to add the with in there. There's also my personal Mitch Lafon Facebook page. I'm everywhere. If you want to reach out, say hello, send me an email, ask me a question, whatever you want. I am easy to find, so please do so. Hey, I will be continuing the podcast and doing this as I do twice a week, and I've got some great content coming up with some producers talking about very classic albums. So do listen for that. Well, there you go. I am not out of time, but I'm out of things to say. So here we are. Thank you, folks, and bye for now.